Welcome to the first August, the last month, actually, of the ecclesiastical year. First day in August that we're celebrating today. Last month was rather interesting. There was a certain Latin American flavor to our services in our little community. On consecutive Sundays, we had a Mexican hierarch and a Cuban priest back to back. So rather than my typical good morning to you, buenos dias, muchachos and muchachas. Buenos dias. What I'd like to do today is offer a few insights from today's gospel lesson on the multiplication of the loaves and the fishes. And going through some of the verses, especially the first few verses, and I want to just give you some Orthodox commentary about those verses. And then at the end, I would like to bring up a point that is relevant to our particular community, Holy Trinity Raleigh, and I think that it's time that it needs to be expressed. First, let me set up today's gospel lesson for you. It isn't in your bulletins, but just right before what it's about to say, Jesus just learned of his first cousin, John the Baptist's martyrdom, his beheading. And so he withdrew by boat, privately, to a desolate place. There are times in our lives as well, friends, no matter what the reason, where we just prefer to be alone. For Jesus, he had this need too, but being alone during his 3-year ministry was becoming more and more difficult because of his growing celebrity status. And when the multitude heard of his whereabouts, they beat a path out to that desolate place, that deserted place, and found him. And so here's the first point that I'd like to make. I want you to look at the reaction by the Lord when he saw this great throng coming upon him and interrupting his alone time. This is the words in the original Greek from the New Testament. When he saw the crowds, it says, esplaknisti epaftis. Esplaknisti epaftis. In other words, he was filled with compassion and tenderness toward them. And he healed their sick, even in this weary state and his need to be alone. Somehow he found it within him, some reserve to have compassion. I think that says something. And I just want to be, when we just want to be left alone, that reaction should be compared to our own reaction of when we want to be left alone. In this world of distractions and interruptions, how do we respond? Not to an entire crowd, mind you, that comes upon us, but to a single individual, a little child who may need your attention, a family member, or even a pet for that matter, who seeks some attention from us. How do we respond when we don't want our space invaded? I'm going to give you one example of what not to do. When I was first, I was into Madden football. I used to love playing Madden football. It took all my mind on all the craziness surrounding my life. The only thing that mattered was, how do I get this first down? So I was the Cleveland Browns. Somehow this low-level team, they were in the Super Bowl. I cheated a little bit, but they got there. So I'm in the Super Bowl. I'm about to score the winning pass. Little Gabby comes bouncing in, 3 years old or something. Daddy, what? Nothing, Daddy, nothing. I don't know. We've got some splaining to do, as Ricky Ricardo would say, on how we respond when we want that alone time. Look at Jesus' response and look at our response. For those of us who are seeking to grow in the likeness of Christ, to become Christ-like, which is supposed to be the goal of the pious and Orthodox Christian, the reaction of compassion by Christ to this intruding mass of people is something we need to take notice of and see within ourselves our irritability when interrupted, our lack of patience. Look, let's face it, these feelings from a worldly perspective are easily understood, and our salty behavior can be easily explained away. I've had a bad day. You don't understand what demons I'm fighting. But to that rare soul who chooses to go against the grain of his own passions in an effort not just to believe in Christ, that's easy, but to actually become like Christ, that's not easy. To the one who actually means when he says, "Thy will be done," there is no defense for that lack of compassion, and he goes to war against it, even if it takes a lifetime to achieve it. Let's move on to the next verse, and we continue reading. The gospel mentions that the disciples notice that evening is approaching. And so they approach Jesus and tell him, "This is a lonely place, and it is late. You should dismiss the crowds so that they can buy food for themselves." But here's the second item worthy of note. You'll notice no one in the crowd was departing and worrying about food. St. John Chrysostom noticed this very thing. He concluded, no one complained that they hadn't eaten all day, because being with him, they didn't feel their hunger. What an amazing insight by our Father among the saints. There's an old Greek saying that captures this very thing beautifully. "I parasiousu me hortase, I parasiousu me hortase." In other words, your presence alone has satisfied my appetite, has filled me. I wonder, was there ever a time where you were so attuned to someone that you didn't even feel your own hunger at the time? Next, the third point. Notice that Jesus' response to his disciples when they advised him to dismiss the crowds so that they may buy food. He didn't say, "Oh, there's no need to do that. I can handle this. I can provide food for them myself." No, there was nothing like that. Instead, he tells his disciples, there's no need to send them away. You feed them. You give them something to eat. By saying this, he is showing that he wants to use his disciples. He wants to make use of his disciples, just as he wants to make use of us in our situations. Orthodoxy is not a lazy man's faith. The cry is not, "Jesus, do it for us," or "Jesus, do it instead of us." It is, "Jesus, do it in us and with us." He wants our participation. He wants our involvement, no matter how little our contribution is. So, that being the case, the disciples heard their call. They looked to their resources, 5 loaves, 2 fish. The task is to feed over 5,000 people. Master, mission impossible. Teacher, the numbers just don't add up. The disciples are still painfully slow in their understanding of Christ's divinity, painfully slow in Christ's resources. They continue to think in earthly terms. They fail to realize they are in the presence of Him who feeds the world, who provides resources that we lack, who provides the increase that we lack, who provides the grace that we lack. Yes, He provides it, but we must participate in that grace. It's true, we can do nothing without Him. I get that. But I dare say He will do nothing without us, without our involvement, without our participation. Just a few valuable lessons, my dear friends, for us to think about in our life in Christ along the path that rises. But now let me bring this to a close now by bringing up that point that I said in the beginning that is relevant for our community, that needs expression. It's been a long time. It would seem that we too have a mission impossible scenario. Our dream of building our new church. Our resources seem to resemble what the apostles offered to Christ. 5 loaves, 2 fish in the face of such a project. Nevertheless, the Lord, the great architect of our salvation, the Lord, the church's great founder, the Lord is telling us, bring your resources to me. Don't just believe in me. That doesn't glorify me. Trust me. Trust in my providence. You are not building anything for evil gain. You are building a holy temple. I'm invested in my own holy house. Move forward. Procura. I need to see that in you. I need to see you step out in faith. Though it be in my power to build this temple myself, though it be in, just like it was in my power to feed 5,000 people myself, though it be in my power as Son of God to hinder you from having any trial at all of those hardships, such is not my sake, such not my will for your sake, that you yourself may contribute something and be more approved. Procura, dear friends, procura, progress. Let's give the Lord a chance to multiply our resources. And next year, at this time, finally put a shovel in the ground for that unique church on a hill with a golden dome. God bless you today.